Today's burning hot topic is probably considered a touchy subject to some. We'll be diving in and taking a look at some of the highest paid celebrities in the film industry that just didn't cut the mustard. Why? Keep watching and find out. Celebs who were fired from their roles in movies. First off, let's start with Julianne Moore. Can You Ever Forgive Me 2018. Moore was originally cast as writer Lee Israel in the film, which earned Melissa McCarthy an Academy Award nomination for the same role. The switch appears to be based on the all-too-familiar Hollywood phrase of creative differences, with director Nicole Holofcener. On Watch What Happens Live, Moore explained to Andy Cohen, "I didn't leave that movie, I was fired. Nicole fired me. So yeah, that's the truth. I think she didn't like what I was doing. I think that her idea of where the character was different from my idea of where the character was, and so she fired me." While speaking with the Daily Mail, one of the film's co-stars, Richard E. Grant, revealed that Moore wanted to wear a fat suit and a fake nose to look more like Israel. But Holofcener didn't want that to distract from the story. Next up, Anne Hathaway, Knocked Up 2007. Katherine Heigl's role in the film Knocked Up was first offered to Hathaway in 2007. She was rumored to have been replaced before filming began because she and Judd Apatow disagreed about the explicit birth scene. But Hathaway clarified the situation. In an interview with Allure, Hathaway said, "I thought about that. Judd Apatow, director, was right to include the shot. I didn't disagree with the shot. My issue with it was that having not experienced motherhood myself, I didn't know how I was going to feel on the other side about giving birth." Now we have Megan Fox, Transformers, Dark Side of the Moon 2011. Fox was fired from the third installment of Transformers in 2009 after making some controversial comments about the film's director Michael Bay and was replaced by Rosie Huntington-Whiteley. Bay wanted to be like Hitler on his sets, Fox said in an interview with British magazine Wonderland, and he's a nightmare to work for. After receiving orders from the film's executive producer Steven Spielberg, Bay took care of the actress by firing her on the spot. Next, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Predator 1990. Jean-Claude Van Damme was a keen, aspiring action star in the 1980s, with one meager credit to his name before becoming an action celebrity in the 1990s, known for his acrobatic martial arts talents in hits like Time Cop and Universal Soldier. When he was cast as the title character in Arnold Schwarzenegger's Predator, it seemed that was about to change. The situation swiftly devolved into a spectacle. What happened is unclear, but it appears Van Damme arrived on set expecting to show off his martial arts skills as the deadly alien, but was instead fitted with a massive alien mask that limited his mobility and restricted his air supply to the point where he kept passing out. When the outfit was altered for a 7-foot man, Van Damme either quit, was angrily fired by producer Joel Silver, or was no longer the proper fit for the character. Whatever the case may have been, Van Damme's disappointment was short-lived. 8 months after the premiere of Predator, the muscles from Brussels struck a breakthrough as the star of Bloodsport, allowing him to show off his talents without having to wear a clumsy, potentially suffocating mask. No introduction needed for this next one, Nicole Kidman, Panic Room 2002. Nicole Kidman had a knee injury on set 18 days after filming the thriller. She'd injured the same knee when filming Moulin Rouge the previous year, and x-rays revealed she'd suffered a hairline fracture. This meant she'd have to take a month off work, so while she wasn't fired, she was forced to leave the movie. This was bad news for the studio as it would face significant insurance fees if it didn't promptly recast without halting production. Unfortunately, because it was early 2001 and everyone was expecting a writer's strike, practically every major actor was already making one final feature before Hollywood shut down. Jodie Foster was available since a project she was planning to direct, funnily enough, had to be postponed due to an injury to its star Russell Crowe. She had only a week to prepare for the role and had to play it on a set that had been intended for the considerably taller Kidman, including the famous Panic Room. Oh, and she was expecting a child. They got around it with huge sweaters and a few post-baby reshoots. There was no need to panic because the movie was a tremendous smash in the end. Pun intended. Next up, Al Pacino, Despicable Me 2, 2013. 2 months before Despicable Me 2 was released, Eduardo was meant to be played by acting giant Al Pacino. Despite the fact that he had recorded all of his lines, Pacino abruptly ended the project. The Oscar-winning actor's name still appeared in the promos despite his departure being announced so late. Pacino's departure has never been officially explained, with the only explanation being creative differences. What's even more perplexing is why Pacino walked away from Despicable Me 2, but not from Jack and Jill. An oldie, but a goodie. Gene Hackman, The Graduate, 1967. Despite being 1 year older than Mrs. Robinson's actor Anne Bancroft, Hackman was sacked from his role as Mr. Robinson just 1 week into rehearsals because the director thought he was too young. Murray Hamilton, a fan of Jaws, took over for Hackman, who was 7 years his senior. In some strange ways, Hackman's dismissal was the best thing that could have happened to him. He was cast in Bonnie and Clyde after being removed from the film, which earned him an Oscar nomination and catapulted his career to new heights. Next up, we look at Stuart Townsend, The Lord of the Rings 2001. Stuart Townsend was set to play Aragorn in The Lord of the Rings, but was fired as soon as production began, according to the film world. Townsend, who was 28 at the time, was too young to play Aragorn, therefore 42-year-old Viggo Mortensen was cast in his place. However, there are some inconsistencies in this story. Many reports indicate Townsend was sacked after 4 days of filming, while Townsend claims he was fired before filming even started. Others say that his age was irrelevant and that he was removed because he was difficult to work with. Townsend was irate because he had spent 2 months training and rehearsing only to be fired from the production without being compensated. "I have no good feelings for those in charge. I really don't," Townsend said in an interview with Entertainment Weekly about the encounter. A movie everyone knows, Janeane Garofalo, Shrek 2001. Although this is common information, many Shrek fans are unaware that Farley isn't the only one that was recast. Princess Fiona was supposed to be played by Janeane Garofalo, who's best known for her roles on The Larry Sanders Show and Mystery Men. After Myers was brought in, the Emmy-nominated comic was replaced with Cameron Diaz. Despite the fact that she had recorded her lines, Garofalo has never been given an explanation for why she was fired. Because so much of the plot was modified when the Austin Powers star was hired, it's possible that Fiona's character was changed and the directors decided Garofalo's voice no longer fit the part. She may have been let go, according to Garofalo, because her voice sounds like a man at times. Next up, James Remar, Aliens, 1986. James Remar was cast in James Cameron's Aliens as Hicks, but he was fired just days after major production began. After that, Cameron offered the part to Michael Biehn, with whom he had previously worked on The Terminator. Biehn accepted, and 3 days later, he was on the set of Aliens. The official version for many years was that Remar dropped out of the picture because of a personal issue, but it was later confirmed he was arrested for drug possession. Thankfully, Remar was able to clean up his act, mend his relationship with Cameron, and go on to have a successful acting career. Remar, on the other hand, remains in the finished picture. Remar appears for one shot when the Marines arrive at the xenomorph nest. Because it's impossible to tell it's him from the shot, Cameron decided not to redo the scene with Biehn. This next actor had his fair share of bad publicity. Kevin Spacey, All the Money in the World 2017. In the 2017 film All the Money in the World, Kevin Spacey plays a billionaire industrialist. Christopher Plummer was substituted in a role when Kevin Spacey was accused of sexual misconduct. Remarkably, less than 6 weeks before the film's premiere, the production team made this decision. Plummer was supposed to learn all his lines in 2 weeks and do his sequences in 8 days, not to mention the additional $10 million cost of the reshoot. Although this may appear to be a Herculean task, Plummer had previously read the screenplay when he was auditioned for the part. It was narrowed down to the final 2. Despite his lack of preparation, Plummer's performance earned him an Oscar nomination. He was the oldest actor ever nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor because he was 88 years old at the time. Despite the fact that Spacey filmed all of his scenes, director Ridley Scott has declared that he will never release the material. And last but definitely not least, Ryan Gosling, The Lovely Bones 2009. The Lovely Bones book was actually banned from some countries for being too frightening for teenagers, as it depicted a very intense, realistic approach to child kidnap and murder. Ryan Gosling was sacked from Peter Jackson's film The Lovely Bones, which was released in 2009. The filmmakers and producers didn't like Gosling's 60-pound weight increase, so he was sacked from the picture. Gosling told The Hollywood Reporter that he gained weight because that's how he envisioned the role of Jack Salmon. the bereaved father would look. Just days before filming began, Gosling was dropped, and Mark Wahlberg was cast into the lead role. And that wraps up today's video. Thanks for watching.